go ahead and open up your radiator cap. Make sure that the engine is cool and has been shut down for a while. Never open this when the engine has been running and or hot. And go ahead and use our hose clamp tool here. Once that's loose, we'll just wiggle that back. Now with your catch can underneath, you want to go ahead and get that hose free. So we're just going to spin it first. And work the hose back just a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and loosen the fan clutch nut by turning it counterclockwise. I'm going to go ahead and remove this or loosen this clamp. And we're going to work our upper radiator hose off. Go ahead and set that aside. Go ahead and pop out that hose like so. And go ahead and pop that clip right here, just to free that up. Let's go ahead and lift up on the shroud here. Okay. With the shroud loose, what we're going to do now is reach down, and we have our clutch fan loose. I'm going to go ahead and spin that counterclockwise. So I'm actually loosening the fan clutch by just grabbing the fan. You can see the nut loosening. You can also reach down and try and move it, whatever works for you. I'm going to go ahead and use a pick to pop off these little plastic O-ring guides right here. Separate that. Do the same for the other side. Then we're going to use a little bit of spray penetrant on these clips here. Now these are automatic transmission fluid lines that are attached to the lower part of your radiator. These are held in by spring clips inside, so we're going to use our tool. See if we can get in there and release the tension off those clips. Now for some reason, if you don't have that tool and you can't get that clip off, you can use a pick. I'm going to get in here and pull that little retainer out of that spring clip. Be careful, these are spring loaded and you can launch them across the room. And when you do get it off, they should look something like this. And repeat for the other side. I'm going to go ahead and remove our transmission lines here from the radiator and disconnect your overflow hose here. I'm going to go right to the bracket right here using a 13mm socket. Remove the bolt and the radiator bracket. I'm just going to spin this around and throw a bolt back in it just to hold it. Now if we tilt the radiator forward, we have our AC condenser right here. There's a 10mm bolt here and there's one on the other side. Let's go ahead and remove those. The bottom part of the AC condenser is just sitting in clips, so gently going to lift that up. we move that forward, that should allow us to grab our radiator and pull that up and out. Using a T30 Torx bit, we're going to go ahead and remove this. Once you get that loose, you should be able to work this bracket down and off of this end here. And we just swap it over to the other radiator. And take our side mount bracket, line this up. Push it up. And then we'll install our bolt. Just want to snug that up. Repeat for the other side. Lower the radiator down into position. You want to make sure that the mount itself is sitting on the rubber bumper right here, and on the other side, right here. I'm going to grab the AC condenser. And lift that up and into the front mounting tabs on the radiator. Once that's lined up, let's go ahead and get our AC condenser bolts back into the radiator here. Go ahead and get those started by hand. Then we'll go ahead and get those snugged down. I'm going to just snug these down. Now's the time for our bracket here. Let's go ahead and tighten this bolt down. So we're going to reconnect our automatic transmission fluid lines to the connector on the bottom of the radiator. I'm going to go ahead and clean the ends here. Line that up on there, and you want to just push that in so that it clips on to that connector. And have that snap into place. You want to go ahead and put our plastic collar back on now. And go ahead and repeat for the other side. Now go ahead and install our lower radiator hose. Now we're going to go ahead and install our serpentine belt. Once you get your belt on, you want to go through all of the pulleys, make sure that all the grooves lined up with all the pulleys. Should be all set. Let's go ahead and install our fan shroud. Once we get it into a certain point, we're going to go ahead and get our fan loaded up inside here, like so, and we drop them down in together. So on the bottom side of the radiator shroud, there are plastic pins. There's 2 of them, and they go into the eyelets just below the radiator. We'll go ahead and get those set in. Now work our AC line around the shroud here, so we can get our clip mounted up again. And we have our tabs here for the shroud that go into the radiator itself. So we're going to lift this up again a little bit. And once the shroud is lined up, we're going to go ahead and reattach our AC line retainer clip. Now, go ahead and get our fan started here. And use a pair of pliers here and snug up that nut. Install our upper radiator hose. Pop it onto the radiator. Install our overflow tank hose. I'm going to go ahead and open up our overflow tank cap here. Now I'm going to go ahead and fill the radiator using the manufacturer recommended fluid for this vehicle. Now in the expansion tank or the overflow tank, there is a fill cold line on this here. So you want to go ahead and add coolant to this as well. Put on our cap. Now we have our fluid all set. We're now going to go ahead and start the vehicle and get up to operating temperature. We're going to watch the fluid here. If the engine needs more coolant, we're going to add it through here and not through the hot radiator cap. Add accordingly, and then you'll be all set. Now with the vehicle running and it's getting close to operating temperature, you want to go ahead and cycle through your gears. Go all the way down. And we're going to come all the way back up into park. And you want to do this 2 to 3 times. Then we're going to go underneath the hood and check our fluid level. Check your transmission fluid level by grabbing this lever, pop it up, pull the dipstick out. Have a rag ready to go. And what we're going to do is we're going to do an initial wipe. And what we're going to pay attention to is right on here, there are 2 dots. Those are our hash mark area. And once the transmission is up to operating temperature, it should be inside these dots here. It says hot. I'm going to go ahead and put it back in and pull it back out. And that's how you're going to check your fluid level. If you're low, go ahead and add it accordingly. It looks like our fluid level is good. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall. And lock that lever down.